Peace and wellness health seekers. It is your girl, Miss Rachel from Crowns on Wellness, and welcome to my quick presentation on Y.P.P, your Pearl Power. This presentation is dedicated to my sisters, and we are talking about who's in control of your reproductive health, all right? So there are many names that we like to call our sacred space. We call it poom poom, purse, snatch, cooch, pearl keeper, vajayjay. But let's just be real and call it what it is. It's called a vagina, right? Using the proper terminology can definitely cut down and help us to eliminate the stigma behind using the real terminology for our body parts. And also, who's in control of yours, right? Who's in control of your vagina? Is it you? Are you in firm control over what happens, how it functions, everything about it? Or is the doctor in control of it by prescribing medications and poking and prodding and things like that? Or is a disease process in charge or in control of your vagina right now, i.e. endometriosis, PCOS, fibroids, cysts, what have you? Who's in control of it? Now, how many of you are familiar with your vagina? Now, I know this may sound like a funny question, but I'm super serious. I'm dead serious right here. Your body is made up of trillions of cells. And so the conversation that you have with yourself is so important, if not more important than the conversations you have with the people around you. Your cells listen to what you say. And in order for you to really have the state of health that you desire, you have to have a conversation with yourself. And I promise this conversation is not certified crazy talk, right? It is something that is absolutely needed. So when was the last time, and what was the last conversation you and your vagina had where both parties were happy with the decision? It could have been a decision or conversation around abstinence, or maybe even your sexual activity. It could have been a conversation behind or around just the hygiene that you are now looking to incorporate into your routine that you have right now. Maybe yoni steaming, or maybe doing certain sacred oils and things like that. What was that conversation like? Or have you ever had that conversation? You'd be surprised about how many women are so unfamiliar with themselves. And interestingly enough, the doctor in their eyes is presumed to be the subject matter expert when it comes to their vaginas, right? They turn to the doctor to clarify what their vagina is supposed to look like, smell like, and how it's supposed to function. And I mean, who's walking around with it day in, day out, you or the doctor? So our conversation today will definitely cover getting to know yourself inside and out, understanding your role as the real healthcare provider, and we'll be looking at some pros and cons of Western medicine as it pertains to utilizing traditional medicine when it's appropriate. We'll be looking at how you can be proactive in your health and wellness, and absolutely the resources available to you if you want to do more to take back control of your reproductive health. So let's get to it. So if you've never taken a mirror to examine and explore your vagina, I highly recommend that you do that, and do it ASAP. Now, why am I recommending this? Why should you do this? You need to know what you look like down there. So when issues arise, you can be clear and concise when you talk to the doctor about what's going on, if it ever gets to that point. It is also very imperative that you know what you look like in regards to those women who are sexually active. If you have a partner and you have these expectations for your partner to do certain things for you, or to arouse or stimulate certain things for you, if you've never traveled the path yourself, if you've never been on that personal road, you absolutely cannot give directions. Okay, your GPS is not working, sis. Okay, so grab your mirror and get to looking, explore and see what you look like, and get comfortable and familiar with yourself. So this is the external view of the reproductive system. Now, everybody's don't look like this, but we all have the same landmarks. Okay, these are the structures that are supposed to be present down in this particular area, right? Now, there are two features here that actually tie into other systems that also hold space within our pelvic cavity along with our reproductive organs. And that is the urethra and the anus. And we'll talk about that shortly. So issues can arise that impact this area. So you absolutely need to understand what you look like down here before anything pops up or breaks out in this area. Now, this is the internal view of the reproductive system, and here's where things can get a little complicated, okay? As I mentioned before, this space is occupied with quite a few organ structures, so when one organ malfunctions, it can potentially impact other areas. Now, there are also a few other body systems that run through our pelvic cavity other than our reproductive system. So we have the digestive tract, which is actually located here, where you have the end of the digestive tract, which is the anus, you have the rectum, and then you have the colon, right? Now, why is this important to what's happening here? If there is any type of impacted fecal matter in this space back here, it can definitely push into or expand into the pelvic cavity where your reproductive organs are supposed to sit. Now, there is a very thin barrier between the reproductive organs and the content of the large colon. So if you have things that are impacted here or toxic waste that's sitting here, it is a high probability that it can begin to seep through that thin barrier and cause issues for your reproductive organs. So you definitely want to make sure that you keep that clear. But this is also to highlight how everything is so compact and how if one section is off, other areas can be off as well. The next piece here is your urinary system. So right here is your bladder, right? Now your bladder is attached to two ureters, two little tubes that drop down from your kidneys that allow your kidneys to filter out toxic liquid waste that then runs out of the body via the urethra. Now, if there's anything wrong with the kidneys, the ureters, or the bladder, it can definitely be felt in the vaginal opening. It can also, if anything is wrong, let's just say your bladder is if your bladder is inflamed in any type of way, it can definitely begin to push the uterus out of its normal position, right? So this is, again, another clear picture of how if one thing is off, it can impact the other areas. Now you have your nervous system, which actually runs through your whole entire body. But the significance here is your nervous system is responsible for conducting the nerve impulses or activity that takes place in these particular systems that allow them to function properly. So if there is any type of dysfunction or dis-ease processes happening in any of these systems, it can definitely impact the way the nervous system fires off the signals for things to operate. So again, if any of these systems malfunction, they can definitely compromise the functionality of the reproductive organs or the system as a whole. Now, on a positive note, just the same, if good things are happening in either of these systems, they can positively impact the reproductive system as well. So if you don't have any type of issues going on with your urinary system, you don't have to worry about urinary tract infections and things like that. Everything can stay normal. That's a plus. If you don't have issues with digestive eliminations and things like that, and nothing is actually protruding over into the space where your reproductive organs are supposed to be, or nothing is sitting in there waiting to basically rot, then that's a good thing for your reproductive system, okay? And we do understand that when you consume food, your small intestines is actually responsible for extracting all of the nutrients from that food that you ate and then circulating it through the circulatory system. So all your blood vessels and things like that, that stuff is moved throughout your whole entire body, which again nourishes all of these different systems. Now, the real health provider is you. You are you are in more control of your well-being than you know or realize. But sometimes the problem comes in when you fail to take responsibility or accountability for what's going on with your body. Okay, and I don't mean this in a harsh way. I simply mean that if we are not in control or aware of the things that are either contributing to our health or contributing to the detriment of our health, then you are not taking responsibility, or you're not being accountable for the things that are happening. Right now, I honestly don't believe that people are really walking around as like, bump this body, I want it to fall apart, so I'm just going to treat it badly. A lot of times the way we do things are ingrained in us from when we were children, and so we don't realize some of those things from our childhood is actually on autopilot and causing us to behave and function in the way that we do, which is related to our lifestyle choices, whether it be dietary choices or activities as in smoking cigarettes and things like that, or drinking alcohol. If you don't become aware of the programming that you had as a child so that it doesn't impact or cause further trauma in your adulthood, that's going to be a problem when you go to try to shift your health for something better. Okay, so here's a real question. If I ate a plate of food, would you get full? Absolutely not, right? What I eat, I can't drink you to health. I can't, eat the food for you. And I definitely can't work out or do the body movements and you reap the benefits, right? So if I shared the recipe of the plate of food that I made, can you make your own dish? Absolutely. And this is how we take accountability and responsibility for our health. We can take all of the information, the good information that can help us create longevity in our health and our lives, and put it to use. But just having it and never ever activating it, it won't work for you, right? So let's talk about your role as the primary health care provider for yourself. Now, oftentimes people go to the doctor with an issue and have a hard time explaining what's going on, but expect the doctor to have a magic pill or potion to fix them, right? This is where you really being in tune with your body comes into play. Now, we put the responsibility or the onus off on the healthcare provider at the doctor's office, but we never take it on ourselves, right? We never take control of our well-being, and we have these weird demands that the doctors fix us and fix us now, like they're supposed to know. Even if you come in with a vague description of what's going on with you, we still expect them to know, and that's not reasonable. Right now, I'm not saying don't go to the doctor for real issues. However, I am saying be reasonable. If you can't identify when things have shifted in your health and then address them immediately, how do you expect the doctor who doesn't live in your skin to know, right? So I often ask people, like, do you know that most dis-ease processes that take place that affect our society is directly linked to lifestyle and dietary choices? Let's, for example, say you smoke cigarettes, then lung issues and circulatory issues are inevitable. If you eat processed sugar, fat, and salt every day, all day, detrimental health issues like diabetes, hypertension, some cancers those issues are inevitable if you are, participating in that type of lifestyle or dietary choices day in, day out. Just the same, if you're consuming hormone disrupting products like animal milks, or their byproducts, endocrine system failures, reproductive system failures, digestive system failures, nervous system failures, these things are inevitable. And most people never stop to look at their daily habits to see how it's affecting their health. This is where we really show up as the primary healthcare provider for ourselves. Now, I mentioned earlier how we were going to cover the Western medicine pros and cons as it relates to utilizing traditional medicines as the first line of defense. Now, the pros of Western medicine is they have access, and we all have access to testing equipment and tools that can see beyond our natural eyes, right? It can kind of see into our body to see what's going on. And these are really, really cool and necessary. This is a necessary step in human evolution for us to maintain our health, right? The Western medicine is also great for acute and emergency situations like open wounds or broken bones and things like that. Is absolutely phenomenal for those particular situations. And in some cases, it can definitely complement traditional health modalities if you get a good doctor who really understands that Western medicine or the hospital care and traditional medicine, where you are in control of what you eat, you know, the environment that you operate in, day out. If you find a doctor who can really show you and impress upon you the importance of having both of these things in your life to have well-rounded, balanced health and wellness, then keep that doctor, right? But unfortunately, we don't have many doctors like that. Now, the biggest cons that I've seen, and this list is not exhaustive, but the biggest cons that I've seen and experienced is in Western medicine, they always push pills and chemical potions, right? Again, for those situations where acute remedies or therapies are needed, where you have to consume or have some type of synthesized medication to stop or treat an acute issue, then absolutely use it. But for long-term use, it does not work. It never have, and it never will. Okay, it's like putting a band-aid over a broken bone. It doesn't work, right? Another con is that they lack long-term care capabilities, meaning you have a doctor who you've been seeing for 25 years for the same issue. How is that possible if they are supposed to be working to get you well? That's not getting you well. And ironically enough, a hospital is not set up for long-term care capabilities. You cannot, just because they have a bed and some beeping machines and testing equipment and things like that, where they can monitor all of this stuff, that does not tell us that you are healthy, right? You laying in a hospital bed for months at a time is not health, right? It's not health. Another con is this particular style of medicine does not address the root cause of issues. It only treats the symptoms. You have hypertension, they give you hypertension medication, but they never address what caused the hypertension. It's the lifestyle, it's a dietary choices, right? Those are two main factors that contribute to it outside of maybe some type of genetic mutation and things like that. But they only provide band-aid care for these chronic diseases. And they are unable to cater to your needs because they are overwhelmed by disease management, which ironically is fostered by the companies that they are sponsored by. The food industry, the dairy industry, the meat, the farm and meat industry and things like that. These particular quote unquote food, I don't think it's real food, but these food giants are in direct connection in cahoots with the medicine or the medical care in our society, which will never allow you to be well. You have to be proactive in that part. Okay. Now I share this to say you can't possibly put all of your hopes and all of the responsibility of your health and well-being on a person, a doctor or nurse, inside of a system that's designed to provide sick care more than health care. And I'm sure there are some great doctors out there that truly care about the health of people. Unfortunately, most of us don't have access to them. So we have to wise up and step up our self-care skills. So how can we be proactive and in charge of our health and wellness, specifically our reproductive health and wellness? First things first, ask yourself, am I taking inventory of my lifestyle? Am I being a good steward of the body that God gave me? Also ask yourself, am I paying attention to what's fueling my body, literally and figuratively, right? What are my dietary habits? Who's the company that I keep? And this part is particularly important because a lot of times when it comes to reproductive issues or supporting systems like your breast, some women can develop issues with no history of it, no family history of it. And the doctors can't pinpoint where it started or when it started, anything like that. Y'all, that is a sign that that thing manifested from an energetic level into a physical ailment, meaning there is some trauma, there is some blocked up energy inside of you somewhere that is screaming. It is literally yelling for you to help clear it, but you don't understand it, or you don't see it, or nobody has ever explained any of this stuff to you. And so when it starts to physically manifest, now it's like you're shocked and the doctors are shocked, right? So this is what I mean by the company that you keep, and also the people that you are around. Just the energy that you bathe in, day out, can actually contribute to real issues developing from energetic blockages and things like that, right? So what kind of information am I taking in through my delicate senses, right? What am I watching? What am I listening to? What am I putting on my skin? What am I ingesting, right? All of these things are super duper important when it comes to understanding and taking charge of your health. Okay. Most importantly, I know that in order to really shift, you have to be ready. You have to be ready. They say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? If you truly want to shift your reproductive health or your overall health, you have to get to a point where enough is enough and what you're doing is not working. And you have to find a way to do something different to get a different type of result, right? You got to do something you've never done to get a result that you want, right? And you cannot possibly expect a new outcome by continuing to do the same thing. So you have to be ready to take control of that issue. So if you are having, or if you're dealing with polycystic ovarian syndrome or PCOS, fibroids, ovarian cysts, endometriosis, reproductive issues like that, and you definitely want to work on reducing the symptoms and maybe even eliminating some of the challenges that come with these things, like painful periods, excessive flow, bloating, irregular cycle, whether you have a cycle or you have a prolonged cycle, skin eruptions, extra hair growth in places you don't actually want it, and mood swings. I was there. I totally understand any woman who wants to get rid of these things. And so I want to help you do that, right? If you will allow me to. I would like to invite you to join me and a community of other amazing women in similar situations as we embark on a 6-week journey to kickstart, to restart our reproductive health. And in this 6-week journey, we will actually cover and implement real and effective wellness tools, tips, and information and products that can definitely shift your reproductive drama. Okay, so I promise you there's relief, and you absolutely do not have to suffer alone or in silence ever again. Okay. So if you want to learn more about this program, simply click the link. All of the information is there. It is very clear. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us with the information that's provided in the information section, and we will help you. Like, I really do look forward to assisting other amazing women who want to shift from this space of just managing or dealing with this perceived these normal issues with these reproductive challenges. These things are not normal, y'all. It's not normal at all. And we no longer have to accept that, right? We can shift into a better state and get things to function the way that God designed them to. Okay. I thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Have an amazing day.